So this is Pipernigrum, black pepper. It's a Piperaceae. It's a vine, and so we're growing on this nitrogen-fixing species right here, Madero Negro. Latin name is Glaracidia. Can't remember the species for it, but it's Glaracidia. And the black pepper and the Piperaceae in particular are really easy to identify because they're going to have these different like knuckles, typically pretty evenly spaced as it's mature. And then their leaf structure, but what it is, it really shows them the Piperaceae is their flower structure, so they make these like flower spikes. This black pepper has all gone into fruit. Oh, you can see some flower spikes up there that have already been pollinated. Do you see them at the end? On the end of this one right there. So the Piperaceae always make this like really beautiful flower spike, and they're fun to look at with a loupe, like really up close, because the flowers are so small. The peppers, the Piperaceae, are native all around the tropical belt. You don't really see any into temperate climates. There is the Piper aureum, what we call Anicio here, cowfoot or root beer tree. And you'll see that one in like southern Florida, but it's been introduced. And so black pepper is a really significant plant for human beings. It's on every table along with salt around the world. It was and still is a commodity, so it's a spice. It's been bought, sold, and traded on the global market for a really long time. Pepper, as well as all the other spices, which are like native to Southeast Asia, India, Malaysia, into Indonesia, they really were introduced to human beings like via the Silk Road. A lot of the spices came from India into like parts of Arabia, and then were like distributed out throughout like Europe and North Africa. For a while, Alexandria held the place of like power over the spices, and then into the Middle Ages and into the Renaissance, it moved up into Venice. And then, the Portuguese and the Spanish, they really set out venturing across the oceans because of spices. They were trying to find ways to get to spices. And spices, culinary spices, not spicy like as in pungent or picante, but like the spices, how they're used in herbal medicine is dispersing. And so they have this ability to like move blood, to help us to digest our food, to really waken up our moods, to lighten our moods up, to remove stuck energies. And on the macro scale, that's what they did to human beings, is they really dispersed us around the planet. And so black pepper, is native to India, parts of India, tropical India. It's in Ayurvedic medicine a lot because it is what we call a catalyzing plant. And so because it's spicy and it really stimulates like the flow of your circulation of your blood as well as the digestive juices, it helps to get plants to where they need to go. It's like a potentiator, a catalyst. It really helps them to be more effective. You can also use other plants like Pipoli long pepper or ginger or cayenne pepper in the same ways. Black pepper is the one that was native and most often used. And so green pepper, red pepper, white pepper, all the same thing. It's just different kind of ripening times. You can see there's quite small ones on here. This is green. These are ripening up and they will turn red. And so what you do is you blanch them and then dehydrate them. You can also just let them dry and use them like peppercorns, or because they are peppercorns. But I was reading something interesting, so I was researching on black pepper not too long ago, and that in Thailand in particular, the herbalists prefer the black pepper that it's gone through the digestive tract of a bird. So how did they figure that out? I mean, they're picking peppercorns out of the poop, and there are, a lot of seeds need to go through the digestive tract of an animal, but who was the first person that like figured out, like if I go into this bird's poop and pick out these black peppercorns, like they're going to be more effective. So it's like a traditional Thai way to use black pepper. It's really warming, and so you can use it topically for like muscle pain. You can use it for cold hands and feet as a digestive tonic, to help in like heavier doses of like female reproductive disorders like menstrual cramps or clotting, or all the spices would really be effective that way. But black pepper, it's so beautiful, and a little bit goes a long way. It's a little bit bitter as well, though it's quite pungent, like picante and warming and hot and spicy. Not everybody really likes it. I actually prefer for spices like black pepper over something from like the Solanaceae family, like a cayenne or like a Scotch bonnet. Like I'd rather have black pepper all over my food. This is Hikaro. It's a Crescentia species. It's a big Nonaceae. It's also called the Calabash gourd tree. or just gourd tree. Lots of different common names for it. Native to the Americas. I love this tree. Just look at all the different like epiphytes and plants and little like mosses and different things growing on it. The leaves come right out of the trunk too. Like when you look at the branches, what it looks like. It's such a beautiful tree. They can live a really long time. Oh, there's a flower. There's one of its flowers. You can see it's already kind of fallen off, but it's just, they're so spectacular. I really love it. The fruit that it makes is one of our Costa Rican indigenous craft arts. Like they will take these, they can get like this big. So they'll let them get about this big. Sometimes they'll harvest them and they're really small too, and you carve into them and they're like a eating vessel or a drinking vessel. And then the seeds on the inside are also nutritive, though they can also be a little bit of an expectorant. And the leaves are used for female like vaginal bacterias and irritations and stuff as a wash. So it's a very feminine tree. And even when you look at the inside of this, like full of seeds, so it'd be kind of like reminiscent of like an ovary. So saying that it's, you know, a female medicine. This is Tilo, or Justicia pectoralis. It's an acanthaceae. Here's the flowers for it. They have a pretty distinct acanthus flower, though some of the other form of the plant doesn't really look like an acanthus, except for maybe the opposite leaves that it has. But it's this amazing bitter medicine plant. So just like one leaf, and it's bitter, but it has like this amaretto-like flavor to it. And what it's used for, it's analogous in, at least in my materia medica, my materials of medicine, the plants that I use to help people. It's analogous to Motherwort, Leonaris cardiaca. And so how you would apply it is for people who get like anxiety, especially heart-centered, where their heart's racing, bad dreams, they don't sleep really well because they're anxious. Those are the kind of people that it's indicated for. It's confusing because it's called Tilo, and you'll see it in supermarkets sometimes under the name of linden tea, but it's not actually linden, which is tilia. And so when the Spanish came, again, like analogous plants, it's like what plant is serving the same function, same place in the niche that plants do from the bioregion that I'm native to. You know, so for me, when I first moved to the tropics, a lot of it was like finding my analogous plants and really exploring like what are their actions, you know, not just like getting stuck on specific plant families or wanting to have like specific plants that I'm used to using, you know? So I love it. It grows pretty abundantly, a little weedy. You can grow it from cutting really super easily. Never really gets this much taller than this. It can handle full sun. When it's in full sun, it'll get like a much narrower leaf, whereas when it's in like some of this dappled light, it'll get a much like fatter leaf, and I think that the leaves stay a lot tender as well. They say in Costa Rica that grannies give it to their hyperactive grandchildren. So you could also maybe use it then too for ADHD or ADD, if you believe that. This is Amalia patins, Cordelillo in Spanish, the firecracker tree. Redhead is another common name for it, but Amalia patins is its Latin name. I believe it's a rubaceae, so a coffee relative. All of it's useful, of these aerial, not the bark, but these leaves. You can also use the flowers. It's an amazing antiseptic herb, and so we use it a lot for staph infections, for weird rashes and stings and fungus. It's been effective for, and you'd use it very little internal. Some people will say for urinary tract infections, but I've actually never found it effective for that. There's other plants that I prefer, but it's again for like a wash for skin stuff. And when you're living in the tropics, there's all kinds of skin issues that come up from, again, staph to rashes to weird funguses. People will come up to me sometimes and like, I have a rash, do you know what this is? And I'm like, no, but we could treat it. You know, like, did you rub on something? Is it just your skin reacting a certain way? It's really hard to know sometimes where your rash is coming from. So again, you can use the leaves, you could use the flowers right here. The hummingbirds love these flowers. They're really attracted to reds. So the Amalia patins is also considered the flame of the forest, or like a forest protector, and it hangs along the edges. It doesn't grow beneath the canopy, although it doesn't get quite much taller than this, but it likes to be below tall trees on the edge, and so it very much acts like a gatekeeper. So this is Banisteriopsis caapi. This is the vine of the soul. It's ayahuasca. It's beautiful, actually. Like when you really look at it and the vine. This one has been here for quite some time. It actually took down this huge tree that we had and opened up this like whole new area for us to be able to farm. So that was really quite kind of her. You know, a lot of people you'll hear us like anthropomorphizing plants and calling them like him and her, and it really upsets one of my teachers, Seven Song. He's like, it's not a boy or a girl, it's an it. Whatever. We're applying different kind of energetics, masculine and feminine energetics to these plants, and people do call ayahuasca grandmother. It's a really amazing plant. Wolf Storl, who is this ethnobotanist, anthropologist gnome from Switzerland, says that the entheogenic plants are closer related to animals, in that like the plants, they're tapped into the soul of the world, and then like one step off would be like the animals, which, you know, have this like super consciousness, and they're tapped into the soul of the world, but they're not connected to the root of the world like the plants are. And then there's human beings, and because of, you know, this up here in this headiness, that we exist in this different space. And so the entheogenic plants in particular want to be more like animals, in that they want to be a little freer, and they want to be able to interact with us in like a different kind of way. And so, you know, that while they're tapped into the soul of the world, because they're plants, they're also a lot more vocal than a lot of other plants are. And when we talk about, you know, like plant spirit medicine and entheogenic medicines and psychoactive plants, people want to equate just certain kinds of plants, whether it's like ayahuasca or peyote or San Pedro, or, you know, non-plants like mushrooms. But really, like, all plants have spirit, and all plants have message, and all plants can take us into these like different realms of our psyche and tap us into the super consciousness and everything. And it's just about like, you know, quieting your mind and opening your heart to what their messages are. But ayahuasca is one of these plants. It's actually a formula. Like when people say ayahuasca, like there's the vine ayahuasca, the Banisteriopsis caapi, but then there's also like the formulas, which are very, they can vary just depending on the bioregion where they come from and the traditions of the people working with the plants. And there'll also be like different plants in the formula. So it'd be the Banisteriopsis caapi with Dracuna, which is like a Rubiaceae. It's a coffee relative. I forget the second. Oh, Dracuna psychotria. And so those two are mixed together. One's like an MAOI inhibitor and the other has DMT. I believe this is the MAOI, but correct me, inhibitor. And then there's other plants like some of the mimosas and the Justicia, I've heard, like relatives of that have been put in there. And so it really depends on like what the person needs. And, you know, they call it the vine of the soul because it really takes people into all different kinds of places. You know, it'll take you into like past life stuff and karmic stuff and outer space and deep into the core of the world. And a lot of people will talk about interactions or visions with animals in particular. You'll see like jaguar and hummingbird and snake and, for me, worms. It really came up, decomposition, you know. And so I think so much of that is also talking about like the plant communicating through the animal realm and wanting to maybe be kind of like an animal because it communicates with humans a little easier that way. There's stories of like all the different kinds. Like when botanists look at them, they don't really see a difference. You know, it's like from the botanical perspective, you're looking at the face, you know, and the face of the plant is their, or in human beings, like we look at our faces to see families, you know, but in the plant, what we're looking at, their face is their flower. And so if we're looking at just the flower of Banisteriopsis caapi, you wouldn't see a difference. But depending, you know, it's kind of like twins maybe, you know, twins separated. So it's like they have the same face, but depending on, you know, their experience on where they grew up and who they grew up with and what their bioregion is like, they're going to change a little bit, even though they still have the same face and the same genetics. Like that's kind of how genotypes and phenotypes happen, where it's like they're botanically, genetically the same, but they're different, same, but different, right? And with the ayahuasca, there's all different kinds. There's like the ones of heaven or jaguar, like cielo, jaguar. There's like different colored ones. And what the indigenous people say that work with them closely is that they all have their own different song. So I've never heard ayahuasca's song, but I would like to someday. It's really beautiful. So for those of you out there who are curious about ayahuasca, this is what it looks like. You want to be super mindful. You know, there is something called shamanic tourism, which has its ups and its downs. It's important for, you know, people to have these awakening experiences that tap us into the soul of the world, but at the same time, some people just like to look through windows a lot and not walk through doors to actually like make changes that this plant can bring. And so, you know, and with commodification of plants, and I do believe that medicine people should have a living, you know, and there needs to be some kind of an energetic exchange. But the thing is that the shamanic tourism is it can get a little predatory, and so you just want to be aware of like who you're taking it with, and also be aware of who you're sitting with, because if your demons are being released and your angels are coming in, so maybe other people's angels and demons are around too, and they can also get stuck to you and stuck in the space. And so you want to be really, you know, mindful that as well, of not just the medicine keeper, but of the people in circle with you. So
Alright guys, OMG, this is totally a different trip to Punamona this time. Sarah's showing us some pretty awesome stuff with the plants, and we have some amazing fruit. So I'm getting to try some stuff I've never even had before. Hold tight.
so this is just what we have right now. Punamona, we have, I don't know, like over 200 maybe varieties of fruit trees, probably more now. I don't even really know. I've identified about 150 medicinal plants. It's primary rainforest. It's like old rehabilitated pasture land. There's like all kinds of weeds and perennial food, smaller foods, and like annual plants and ornamentals. There's just so much here, and so it's a lot of abundance. You just have to really know where to look with the abundance. And so these are different fruits right now that are harvested from the farm. So it's permaculture, so we're really into perennial agriculture, which is food forests. I would say everything, there's a few things that aren't trees, like the banana. Banana is not a tree, banana is a plant. This is a banana flower. Right here, look how beautiful this is. So this is each one of the flowers right there. And these will get pollinated and become a banana. The bees go in, they're one of their main pollinators, but there's other bugs too. And so the flower is edible. What you do is you would cut this up, like slice it real nice, like this, nice and fine, and you soak it in salt water overnight, so a brine. When you're doing your salt waters, you want them to be a little saltier than like your tears or snot. We all know what that tastes like. And then soak it overnight, and then just kind of like quick stir fry it up a little bit, and it has this really nice like floral mushroomy taste.
I haven't eaten it yet.
Oh.
No.
Oh my god, it's so good. You want to get them like when the rack is like pretty mature, and this, you know, these are opening up and they look, you know, they're robust. And but you need to slice it, soak it, and then do like a nice little pan fry with some onions. Cacao. This is one of our natives. I can't remember the name. I think it's the aroma bicolor.
Bicolor, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not pataste, because we have a few native cacaos. Like this is a variety of Theobroma cacao which is like the main chocolate. You know, and a lot of them, when we say varieties, because they're grafting them and selecting them to be Monelia resistant. You know, so but then they're native to the Yucatan, is what it's believed, where they come from in Mexico, is Theobroma cacao. But all throughout the Americas, there's different kinds. And so one of our native ones here in Costa Rica, and look, it actually has like a little bit of a fiberglass on it.
Oh wow!
Can you see it?
Little hairs, yeah.
Yeah.
Little furry hairs.
Yeah, and this one will like get really tall, where like the Theobroma cacao stays in the understory. This one will like reach up. Noni is one of those plants that we talked about that when we were talking about like naturalized and native, endemic and invasive species. This is a naturalized species. So these are from Polynesia. You know, you see them a lot in like.
Looks like a heart.
Yeah, it does. And like those, what are they called? Pyramid scheme, kind of weird juicy things. You know, and it's mostly like grape juice and apple juice and like a drop of Noni.
Just using the name to get slide in there.
But Noni's amazing because it was brought all the way from Polynesia, like an open canoe into all those different islands, and you know, eventually made it here into the Caribbean and everything. It came over like through Africa, through tropical Africa. That, as well as like the breadfruit and the yucca, caapi, all those plants came from like the African diaspora, essentially the slave trade. You know, they brought over the foods that were like the most medicinal and as well as like the most nutritious.
Right, yeah. And they're quite common now, not just here on the Caribbean coast, but Costa Rica, all over. And like you said, they've been naturalized and part of the culture for 50, 60, 70 years or more.
Or more,
depending on the fruit.
Yeah, I mean, like the Afro-Caribbean people came here like almost 200 years ago, around the same time that the Chinese came into Latin America. It was like in the 1850s, 1830s.
Right. What's this little citrus?
These are calamand limes. These are from Southeast Asia. One of my favorite parts on this one is actually the skin. The skin is so delicious. The juice is nice and sour, but actually the skin is right here too in these pickled bolimbis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
These are amazing, guys. This is the balimbe fruit. It's a sour fruit, and it's very prolific. And when you eat them fresh, you know, when they're fully ripe, they're good, but they're just really sour. You wouldn't want to eat many of them. Personally, I wouldn't. But the pickling process that they're doing here really takes a lot of the sourness out, and they're very unique texture and flavor. And I just love them. It's my first time having a pickled balimbe today, and I'm just gonna give it a little taste test too.
Like you would never stick a whole balimbe in your mouth.
Right.
Ever. It's like when you eat a balimbe, you're like, take these like little sour bites off of it. Hey Katrina, you wanna go grab the one we just made today?
Oh man, it's so delicious, amazing.
Isn't it delicious? And look at it.
It's like the best little tropical pickle.
Clove in there, some allspice. I can't.
Yeah,
oregano,
the flavor
maybe.
Profile with the spices is
turmeric,
just on point.
And try this. So this is the calamand and lime peel.
Okay.
Oh, it's so good. I like to dry this one out and make it into a digestive tincture, also used for like fevers and stuff. Like
super flavorful, like tangerine.
Oh, hey,
really,
Suze, will you bring that?
It's not like a strong, like a bitter flavor at all either.
I dare you to stick that in your mouth.
So I mean, I won't stick the whole thing in my mouth, but I will.
It's sour. You ready? He's gonna be like.
Take a bite and let you know what it tastes like.
And Susie here, she made these bolimbis today.
Really sour. Like I wouldn't want to eat a bunch of these out of hand because of the sourness. But these
I can't believe you just took a bite of that.
I could totally eat like 4, 5, 6 of those pickles. But this.
I can't believe he's biting that. Like that's so sour.
It's sour. I like sour stuff, but
yeah, I like sour too. My mouth is like watering thinking of eating that. I'm gonna eat one of these to satisfy that weird feeling I have.
This is the champandak, a relative of jackfruit, meringue, breadfruit, Mayan bread nut, all of those beautiful, amazing fruits that we love. So this is very pungent. It's a little small, but it is ripe.
Yeah,
and you can
get like that.
So we're gonna not cut all the way through it so we don't disturb the pods. Just gonna cut the outside of the skin off here and see if we can pull the skin apart and show the pods without ripping out the. Sometimes they'll come apart.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Oh yeah, so it's just a little baby.
Look how pretty that
and
is.
It's not. It doesn't have a huge pods on it. These will get, about 5 or 6 times as big as this. They don't get as large as the very large jackfruits, but when they're fully developed and larger too, like even these tendrils here will be edible and soft. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Is it legit?
Oh,
it's legit. We gotta
it smells like
get the cameraman in there to try.
Right now. Oh my god!
This is Pete's first champandak experience here.
Smell that! Doesn't it smell like an onion ring?
Wow.
Reminiscent of jackfruit in a lot of ways
love
with that
it.
smell.
It's incredible.
Wait, we gotta get one in out here.
All right, Mike.
Mm,
You ready, Mike?
that's unique, Mike. Wow.
Oh yeah,
Oh wow, that's delicious.
Yeah.
it is.
Isn't it amazing? It's durian-esque, but better. I think it's better.
It's like it's
Almost cheesy.
it's hard
in a
for
way.
me to call a favorite, but like Chumpandak and durian are like right there.
Here's
Yeah.
another Articarpus. This is breadfruit. We're not going to cut this one open though because it's green, so we use
yeah.
it for cooking. When they ripen up, they're kind of like, they almost have that similar like sulfury, oniony, garlicky, mild, but it's different. It's like pudding.
Yeah,
Sweet
when it's
pudding
fully
when they're
ripe.
they're interesting.
And I've had numerous people tell me you can't eat it raw. You have to cook it, and it's
No, you just let it ripen.
Yeah, it's like, well, have you ever tried to let it ripen for?
Yeah, it's just such a different experience, but it really shows
Right.
you like the versatility of the starch.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just the conditioning of like culture. It's like, oh, we've always cooked it. You have to cook it.
Yeah, I wonder what the ripe breadfruit would be like if we dehydrated that and made like a sweet flour for like
Wow.
cookie bases and stuff.
That'd
Might be
be
amazing.
pretty incredible.
I just thought of that. Yeah, so this one we just had some for lunch, and I doubt we have any left over because it's one of those things that you like scarf down. We did it fried. You can pretty much cook a breadfruit like you'd cook a potato, but they're better because they're a tree, and the skin is what has like the most like protein and stuff. When people talk about the protein content, you always want to like catch them, like either let it ripen or eat them when they're really green, because sometimes as they start to soften, they get funny, and you're like, I don't know what to do with you. The Noni's still pretty green, but we were just talking about this one. Noni's also a really good medicinal plant. The whole thing's useful. Look, it's still pretty green, so it doesn't smell like blue cheese yet, but it'll turn like literally blue cheese for like stick your finger in. It's kind of a fun joke to do to people, like when they don't know Noni yet. You're like, here, stick your finger in that, and they stick your finger and you're like, ugh, so just
Right.
it's pretty nasty. But the green Noni, I mean, it's all medicinal and pretty edible. People, when they get really into Noni, are like so into Noni, and like we'll do ferments here, and you know, it looks like these like brains like fermenting into a jar, and it turns into that beautiful purple, and taking shots of it and stuff to build a microbiome. But when it's green, you can grate it up and put it onto boils, and it'll pull a boil to a head.
I've heard that.
Really good. And then I've also had people here who take them when they're a little bit riper than this, but not fully ripe, for like cystic acne and really oily
wow.
skin. We'll go into the ocean and like mash it up and do like a pack essentially
I've
on their
heard
face and rinse it
that
off.
the leaves can be boiled and used as a treatment for lice.
Oh, for lice.
A
That's
lice
interesting.
wash.
Yeah, you know, I haven't used it for that, but what I use the leaves for is sprains, strains, and bruises. You can use
Okay.
arnica. Works really well, but I'll try that. Well, it's so versatile.
And it's so abundant. It just produces fruit almost all year long.
I know.
It's like fruiting probably 8 to 10 months
all
out of
the
the year.
time. It's really an amazing.
It pretty much
medicine.
is all the time.
These are wax jambu. Do you know those?
I do. I ate a few of these earlier. They're not real flavorful. They're not as flavorful as a water apple. They're in the same family, and they're just crisp, and
They remind me of you don't think they're flavorful?
they have like not. They
It reminds
actually
me of a Christmas tree.
it has like that rose apple kind of esque flavor.
There's like an essential oil in there or something.
Yeah, very. I mean,
it's hard
yeah,
to place. Like,
they definitely have some flavor.
yeah, I
But-
like them because they're crunchy. Because in the tropics,
I love
you
the
notice there's
texture,
like
yeah.
so few crunchy fruits. It's like everything's really squishy, and I grew up with apples, and they're like one of my favorites. So I like being able to be like,
Right. I do like the texture and the
you
crunch.
hear that?
Yeah. And they're beautiful pink. Look at this little light pink and the darker hues on the bottom.
Oh my god, and they pump.
And they're so abundant.
We will have bowls of these for like months and months and months. Ooh, bitty ba.
Ooh.
Ooh, bitty ba. Rollinia mucosa. So this is related to, what are their custard apples?
It says the Annona family. It's related to cherimoya, custard apple,
What else is there? Pawpaw.
pawpaws in the Annona family. The only
Guanabana.
the only one in North America in the family. Guanabana, soursop. This one is one of the most quick to bear fruit from seed. You can plant a Rollinia seed, and under 2 years you can start getting fruit. I've seen it in as little as 18 months. So this one's super perfect, firm fleshed. Like they don't have a huge shelf life, is why you don't see them in the markets much. But absolutely incredible. It tastes like lemon meringue pie. Like, not kidding you, but better.
But better. They're like the most perfect.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's what's so cool about them is that they produce so quick, and they also don't live that long. They live to be like 5-6 years old, and so they're really good zone 1 fruit trees in tropical permaculture. Like you don't have to worry about like putting them far out, and they ripen so quick that the animals love them too. So you keep them like close by the house, and they look awesome. Like just like you know what I mean? Just like seeing that
cool.
hang.
Very abundant trees. Like
Yeah.
you know, the first year it'll put out 4 or 5 fruits, and then the next year dozens, and you know they just put more fruit out every year. And absolutely incredible. We got to give the cameraman one.
Whoa, they share with me here. Whoa. Guys, ready for this
Amazing.
lemon meringue pie?
It's called biriba here in Costa Rica.
Rolenia in the States? Bariba here?
It's called
Bariba?
Rolenia.
They say biriba.
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 Yeah, Rolenia.
That's delicious.
This one's really good. Wow.
It's like perfect.
Perfect ripeness.
I think we should just eat the whole thing.
But we'll come back to it.
There's another one. Okay.
We're gonna keep touring some fruits for you
Oh,
guys.
fine.
We'll come back.
So this is this isn't fully ripe just yet. I'm gonna let it go a few more days. But this is a really cool Amazonian passion flower. I don't know like the Latin name for it. Steven bought it in Quitos.
Okay.
He said he was like walking down the streets in Quitos, and there's this little old lady, like a little indigenous lady, just holding bundles of them like this up in
Wow.
her hands, and he just bought both of them from her, and now we grow it here.
Awesome.
And it's delicious because the skin will get much softer, and this
Is it a sour passion fruit?
no, it's so
Sweet.
sweet and like white, and the flower's really pretty. I'm not gonna open it. We'll take it with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be good for seed because it's still kind of green.
Yeah,
but you could
should be able
try
to eat it.
Yeah, it's pretty aromatic too. This is called naranjilla, right here, and so it is a solanaceae, so it's a little like irritating. It has that like kind of scary looking leaves, like the solanaceae,
Spiky
but
leaves.
Spiky leaves. It's pretty weedy, but it's super good. It looks kind of like a tomato-ish, so it's in that family, the tomato eggplant family, or the nightshades, solanaceae. And this one you cut up. Oops. So you just kind of like see how it kind of looks like eggplantish.
It's kind of like a cos inside.
It does a little bit, yeah, all those little seeds. And then we boil this one and then strain it for a juice, and it tastes like apricots. I don't really use it raw. I don't. You know how some of the solanaceae are like funny
Yeah.
if they're raw, if they're not.
I've never had the juice.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't even really smell like anything, but the juice is really good. It really tastes like apricot. But again, you have to like, and with the skin and stuff, you don't even have to peel it because once like those little furs and stuff go in the water, it kind of like denatures.
And it grows wild all over Costa Rica. So this is achote. And this is a very interesting fruit, but Sarah can tell you more about it than I can. Probably.
Maybe.
We'll open one for you though. Little pop action there. This one actually doesn't have any seeds in it.
Look at that.
Dud. So what you use is the seeds in here, and this is a natural dye. Can be used to dye clothes. Can be used to do face painting and body working art.
There we go.
And so these little seeds here have this like red. This one's a little overripe even, I think.
Yeah, with the water on there. That's
The water in there is
interesting.
interesting. It kind of took away the dye.
Yeah, look at that. So when the Spanish came to the Americas, like, you know, they used saffron, and this is native to here, and so they call it poor man's saffron because it makes their rice like a yellowish orange. I love how it smells. I don't know, it has
This
this like,
earthiness. Like,
yeah, it's really clean, like clean, earthy, like, I don't know, I like it. And it's really healing to the skin. You can put it on sunburns. It's gonna make you red
Yeah.
when you paint yourself up. But super healing to the skin. You could put on bug bites and those kinds of things too.
So you just smash the seeds and you get this like red paste out of it. And then, which I'm sure is, you know, has some medicinal qualities.
It does, it heals the skin.
Skin, like she just said. And yeah, you can do some body art. A lot of people at Envision will bring this around and just paint their head and paint their bodies with it.
Like at Punta
Yeah.
too.
And it's fun, you know? Get some,
Why'd you stick it in the corner?
I don't know.
Give it a little spit. And it makes it work a little. So it dries out.
But it's an all-natural body art paint, or you can, they dye clothes and stuff with
I
this,
think
right?
so. I don't know what the fixative is.
Yeah,
But you need it, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they use it to dye cloth and clothes.
Textiles.
Textiles.
How's that look?
Ruby red.
Yeah, right. What else we got?
So that was it.
Oh, the cacao.
Oh, and we talked about the cacao a little bit, but we can open one. Let's open one of these. So it's got a really hard shell. You can just go around and score it, or you can cut right through the middle. You can just break it like that. And then it's got these beautiful little pods in here, and this succulent white sweet flesh. It's like really, really delicious. Not a lot of it on there. It's got a sourness to it, but
It's so good. You know what I love to do? When you think about like when people talk about cacao being so good for the heart, I love looking at the colors of plants because they indicate like the different kinds of vitamins and minerals and actions like on the human body. So look at this, right?
purple.
Look at the color purple.
Wow.
And that right there is heart medicine. Anthocyanins is what that's called. It's like what red wine and grapes and blueberries have in it. Delicious.
Yum.
Cameraman love.
How long is this? I can wash this right off.
Yeah.
No, that's permanent, Trey.
Yeah,
You're wearing that always.
It's not like white teal. Yeah, I mean, it's like it puts on. It's just like the abundance everywhere. I love that. You know, it's just abundance is the way the universe works, and it manifests itself here at Punta Mona. So, if you want to come and like learn from the jungle, and learn from the foods here, and learn from the plants here, and the people here, and eat galimbi pickles.
Yum.
All right, Punta Mona round 2. That was absolutely amazing. I'm only making one outro, so many of these videos are not gonna have my normal ending, but Sarah totally blew my mind. I learned a lot here today. I think you guys probably did too. We got multiple videos coming from this visit, and we've just begun. So Permaculture Farm Tour 2.0, here we come. So don't forget, like, subscribe, share, most importantly, pound dirt. Hey, that's all she wrote. We're out of here. Punta Mona, is it all it's made out to be or what?
Just a quick stop at Punta Mona, but it's always a blessing to be here in this incredible botanical paradise here on the Caribbean coast. 85-acre permaculture farm and botanical research center that is out of this world. You got to come check it out.
Mind blown.
PuntaMona.org. Check it out.
Boom. All right, let's see if Mr. Jose is ready.